Excellent. Okay, we are on day 4. So thanks everybody for rejoining us for another session. So hopefully you're finding that each of the days that we work on, you're just learning some new insights, some new things that you can implement into your own work and life that are just giving you that next step and that next level of productivity. So let's start today with a quick check-in, as we have done on each of the days after day 1. So remember, day 1 we talked about optimizing sleep and recognizing that sleep really is such a foundation for resilience and productivity that if we overlook it, actually we are not really addressing foundations. We have to address foundations. If ever you get team members coming to you or people you're working with who might be overwhelmed, they might have a lot on their plate, they can't think straight. Actually, some of the fundamentals we need to check in on are well-being fundamentals. Are they actually looking after themselves? Because we have to get to that place first, and then productivity and resilience can be built from there. Then we talked about the morning routine. So we said what we do each day to get ourselves primed, ready for that day, can make a real impact on how productive and resilient we are. So we have to get sleep in place. We have to get a good morning routine that kind of empowers us and primes us for the day, whatever that is. Everyone's got a slightly different morning routine. But mine has been pretty consistent now for probably about 6 or 7 years. And as I think I've said before, I really notice the difference between those days when I do it and those where I don't. The only time I don't do it are days when I might have client commitments and I have to be somewhere super early. So if I have to be, in London for 8 or something, I don't then get up at 4:30 or 5 to do my morning routine. I tend to try and do something at the back end, but I will always ask my power questions, and I'll always have that kind of opportunity to calm the mind. I won't necessarily always get the exercise in if I've got other commitments, but sticking to a routine can be really useful. Then on day 2, so Tuesday, we looked at mindset. So how do we start to really become more aware of where we go to on default as we're thinking, and start to shape and direct and guide our thoughts? We also looked at the inner voice, and we said, often that can be a critic, and we want to move that from critic to coach. So how do we do that? And the answer was in more empowering questions. So asking better questions of ourselves on a regular basis, creating some space between events happening and us reacting. And instead of reacting, we pause and respond. And that's the real difference there in mindset, and starting to think about how we habit stack. How do we get the right habits around mindset into our day so that we feel better about ourselves? We think differently about what we're doing day by day to improve our performance, the way that we feel about ourselves, and then obviously resilience and productivity. And then yesterday, after we've got those 2 foundational pieces in place, sleep and the morning routine, and then mindset, then we start to think about productivity. And we introduced 2 laws, right? So we talked about Parkinson's law, which is how we can compress time to help us to focus, set tighter deadlines. That really helps focus and generate a greater sense of urgency around tasks that we are completing. And then we talked about Pareto's law, which is all about prioritizing, working out what are our top 20% of tasks that are delivering 80% of the results in our business or our work or our lives, even at times, and really starting to become more intentional about spending more time on the 20% and minimizing time on the 80%. Really important principles for us to get into our kind of working days. And then we looked at a tool that helps you to start to prioritize your tasks and really start to think, actually, am I working on the things that are making the biggest impact in my business? Okay, so that's the recap. I'm just going to take a moment to pause and just invite you to share some feedback. If you'd like to share some feedback on how you've been getting on so far, I'll have a look at the chat. If we can get that into the chat, that would be great. What's been happening for you? So yesterday was another step, right? Parkinson's law, Pareto law, prioritizing. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what happened yesterday. What was something that either occurred to you or something that you thought would be useful to share. Richard has joined us. Good morning. Sorry, running a little late this morning. Must have been the football. Yes, what an incredible result on the football, eh? We won't go into that in detail because we haven't got time this morning. We want to finish by just before 9. But yeah, what an incredible night in the football. Who would have thought it? England into a Euros final. Yeah, quite impressive. Final at the weekend as well, of course. So thanks, Richard. So just on your keyboards, just something that's really working for you. Manjula says, printed your tool to populate the list today. Brilliant. Thanks, Manjula. Jackie says, I was actually able to address one of the team's challenge around this task assignment after yesterday. Oh, wow. Brilliant. So this helped you actually do something in the business, Jackie, yesterday as well. Excellent. Thank you. That's great news. Great to hear that feedback. And sometimes, it's just getting an external perspective on things and having this opportunity just to talk through things and create a bit of time to think about what we're doing is really, really valuable for us. That opportunity to step off the treadmill because there's always so much going on. Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. So keep popping your ideas into the chat. I'll read them out as they come in. So let's progress. Let's go again today to our next topic then. So we're on day 4. It's Thursday of this week. And I love the topic we're going to cover today. I mean, I really enjoy all of this productivity, resilience, and prioritization work. But today we've got some things, got 3 things I want to talk to you about today that I think are going to be really, really powerful and join up with what we've covered today. And I love this quote. Actually, it's an Oprah quote. So energy is the essence of life. Every day you decide how you're going to use it by knowing what you want and what it takes to reach that goal. And by maintaining focus. It says by maintaining focus. It means by maintaining focus. So let's talk about this productivity principle. I learned this quite a few years ago. And once I discovered it, I was like, right, that makes so much sense. I need to now start to work out how I use this. So this productivity principle is called the Ultradian Performance Rhythm. So this principle is how our bodies react and use energy throughout every day. And so let me talk you through what it tells us. What it tells us is that the body's energy cycle works in 90-minute cycles. And in the first 90-minute cycle of the day, we have about 20 to 30 minutes where you'll feel energy increases. And then what happens is as energy increases, we hit this, what we call it a top performance zone. And the top performance zone is also about 20, maybe somewhere between 20 and 40 minutes, depending on how energized you feel, how clear and focused you are. And then we start to find energy drops off again for 20 to 30 minutes. And that's a 90-minute cycle. So it goes up, we hit a top performance zone, and then it peters out. And now what the science shows and recommends is that at that point, when we feel that energy decreasing and we kind of hit that low moment, what we should do in order to recharge is to allow ourselves a 15 to 20-minute break so that the body can heal. And they call it the Ultradian healing response. Okay, so we give 15 to 20 minutes, the body heals itself. And then if we do this effectively, it enables us to go to the next 90-minute top performance zone. So then we go, energy increases again for 30 minutes. We hit a top performance zone for about 20 to 40 minutes, and then the energy decreases again for 20 to 30 minutes. And the same thing should happen again. And this happens throughout our day, okay? And what's really interesting is that if you try and force this, so if you try and power through this, what happens is you don't get the healing response in the body. And the next time the wave of energy comes, it's not as high. So you're reducing the peak. And this is really important for us when we start to think about how we operate. We start to think about how our teams operate. And I know certain times when I was in the corporate world where we would have, all day meetings with hardly any breaks. And you'd sense the energy, there was energy flows. And and as I look at this, I recognize where at times with myself and my business teams, all we needed to do was take a break. We just needed 15 minutes. We'd reset, come back, be completely energized and recharge again. And it's almost like a battery, right? We run out of steam for a bit. Okay, go and plug in and recharge for 10, 15, 20 minutes, and let's go again. And you'll also notice the overall top performance zones reduce as we go through the day. So we have higher energy earlier in the day. So those tasks that are most demanding of us, those tasks that require our greater focus, attention, concentration, brain power, cognitive processing power, we should be doing those earlier in the day, because that's when we have the capacity to perform at that higher level. I'm sure you can all relate to that. I've had times where I'm trying to work on stuff tail end of the day, and in the end I just have to give up. So right, I'm going to park where I've got to. I'm going to come back to this first thing the next day, and it's surprising how much more quickly I can get it done the morning of the next day versus trying to long it out in the evening of the previous day. So really important productivity principle. So let's now talk about, we talked about prioritizing yesterday in terms of our to-do list. I want to either introduce this principle to you or remind you of it if you know about it. So this is the Eisenhower matrix, or otherwise known as the urgent important matrix, and it's talked about in the book The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. What this matrix teaches us is that tasks and activities are going to constantly come at us, okay? Constantly come at us. And our job is to start to sort the wheat from the chaff, sort the important from the not important. What this chart teaches us is that we have tasks that are either important and urgent, important and not urgent, urgent but not important, and not important and not urgent, right? So when you start to look at that, you say, right, on this grid, to the left is increasing urgency, to the top is increasing in importance. So bottom right are tasks that are not urgent, not important. You would ask, why are we doing them, right? They are things like scrolling through social media, answering emails that nobody's expecting a response to, all those kind of things that we find ourselves sometimes doing. And on reflection, actually, we shouldn't even be doing them. We should eliminate them from our schedules. Okay, so we should eliminate those things that are not urgent, not important. On the left-hand side here, you've got things that are urgent, but they're not important. Okay, so they're urgent but not important. They're the things that over time we should be trying to delegate, because they might be urgent, they might be important to somebody else. You know, urgent, asking you to do something urgently, they think they're important, but you don't think they're important. We should be trying to delegate those, or try and find another way to have those tasks completed. And then top left box here are the things that are important and are urgent. Okay, so yes, they're important, I've got to do them. Yes, they've come in at left field and they need doing as quickly as possible. And actually, we just have to do them, right? So they're the tasks that day to day we have to create some space to be able to do those tasks. That's really important. But the sweet spot where the magic happens is in this top right-hand box. This is our Pareto law box, right? It's stuff that is really important, but it's not urgent. Okay, let me repeat that. It's stuff that's really important, but it's not urgent. This is things like strategic planning for your business. This is meeting, clients or key people that are really important to your business, even though they might not be able to work with you here and now, but it's about cultivating those relationships. It's about reviewing pipeline of opportunities. It's about building better business structures and processes, all those things that in a way you could probably get away in the short term without doing. But without creating this time and space to prioritize those tasks, actually you kind of find yourself getting a bit stuck or doing the same thing over and over again. So we have to recognize that this top box here is the easiest one to miss, but it's the most important area for us to focus. So our target zone is tasks that are not urgent, but they are important. It might be that monthly report, or maybe the financial review, the things that you need that are coming every month. And then you find yourself scrambling to do them at the last minute. And actually, we can see them coming regularly. So why don't we get to them before they become urgent, so that we start to feel like a sense of control and power, because we are ahead of ourselves rather than behind the curve. And this is what this whole structure of the important urgent matrix teaches us. And then a final couple of things I want to cover, and then we'll go to a discussion and think about actions for today. We talked yesterday about Pareto law, separating the tasks that are important in your 20%. I also want to talk about prioritizing your to-do list. So we all have to-do lists. We'll have things that we want to get done. And if you're anything like I used to be, one of the things that I used to do was I just write down what I had to do out of my head. And I just put it all down, and then I just worked through it in the order at which I've written it down, mostly. And what I didn't stop to do until I learned this principle was pause before I started the list and go through each of the items and rank them in terms of priority order. So what should I be doing first? What should I do second? What should I do third? And if you look at the, let's say this is the traditional to-do list, items out of my head, right? And then in the middle, you say, right, I've ranked these now in priority order. And on the right-hand side, I've sorted them by priority. And all of a sudden, you can see that if I just worked through my standard list, and the first thing I'd have done was actually 9 on my list. Okay, and okay, the second thing would have been number 1, and the third thing would have been number 2. But look, the fourth thing would have been 13. So all of a sudden, we have this completely different ranking and order in which we should be working through our tasks. And it's much more intentional about how we achieve the things that are most important. And what this teaches us is that when we practice prioritization, we recognize that our job, our role is not to do the things that are on our to-do list. That's not the job. The job is to continually review the list, assess what's most important, prioritize the list, and then act. Right, so review, assess, prioritize, act. So I like this kind of mnemonic wrapper. Right, review, assess, prioritize, act, and then of course the job is to work on the number one task. We can only ever do one thing at a time properly. One thing at a time. So do that one thing, the number one thing on your list. And sometimes if it's a big project, you might do the next stage of work on it and then have to pause it and it goes somewhere else on your list. But then when you move to the next task, we should do the same thing again. Review, assess, prioritize, act, and then be doing the thing. The number 2 thing is no longer the number 2 thing. It's now the number 1 thing. So we're always working on the most important thing in our business. And that's such an important principle to get our mind around. We should be working on the number 1 thing at any point in time. And I love this question that is, I can't take credit for this. This isn't one of mine, but this was from a book on prioritization I read, and it said, think about, and the book is The One Thing by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan. If this was the only thing I did today, would I be satisfied I did the right thing? If this was the only thing I did today, would I be satisfied I did the right thing? It's a really good sense check, because if your answer to that is no, I need to be doing something else, go and do that other thing first. And it's so obvious, and yet we sometimes get a bit kind of sidetracked with things that are going on. So, okay, where are we? 8 minutes to, good, we've got time. Right, so today's task. Notice your energy cycle during the day today. Become more intentional about it. When you hit that 90-minute mark, take a break, right? Take some time, whatever the time you need, 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes. If you can stretch to 20, go for it, right? Get away from whatever it is you're doing. Give yourself the chance to recharge and reset. Align your energy and your work. So now start to think about which task should I be doing at which parts of the day, depending on my energy level. What should I do as my energy is increasing? What should I do when I'm in that top performance zone? What should I be doing as my energy starts to decrease and then I break? And start to recognize this opportunity to align energy and the work that you do. And this movement really helps energy flow. So find a way to get mobile during the day as well. I've said this already. I tend to work from a standing desk. I don't always work from the standing desk. Whenever I'm with a client or with a group like this, I stand, because the energy it gives me is completely different from when I'm sitting. I can't generate this level of energy from a seated position. So start to think about movement as well. Give yourself that recharge and reset between the tasks as well. We'll talk, when we talk tomorrow, final day tomorrow, I've got a couple of other principles that are really going to align with what we've covered so far today. And that's going to help us to think about how do we really maximize productivity. And I love your feedback, either in the, either as part of, oh, sorry, Beth, I just saw your message. Sorry, can I let Molly back in because laptop crashed? Yeah, Molly's back in. Thank you, Beth. And I'd love to hear your feedback. You can do it tomorrow on our call, or as I said on day one, I think I forgot to repeat this yesterday and Tuesday. We have this LinkedIn group called the Coaching Leaders Network. You are very welcome to join it. I'd love you to join it. Let me put the link again into the chat box here. Hold on a sec. And then you're welcome to join our LinkedIn group. And I'd love to hear your feedback. Actually, if you want to put it in the LinkedIn group, it's a great vehicle for us to be able to continue discussions after today as well. So feel free to click on that link if you would like to. I'll include that link in today's follow-up email as well. Okay, so let me pause, let me stop the sharing. I hope you've enjoyed today's session. This one for me is like super important. It's such, I remember when I first learned about this Ultradian rhythm principle, and it really, really changed the way I thought about how I worked and the way I worked day to day. And I hope that's useful for you. I also recognize the importance of this with teams, right? Helping teams to understand this principle. If you're feeling a bit flat, take a quick break. Don't keep pressing on with a really, especially if it's quite a challenging, personally demanding project you're working on. Don't keep plugging away if you've hit the wall. Take a 15-minute, 20 minute break, walk away, come back. You'll be so much more energized and refreshed. It's such an important thing for us to remember, but it's actually counterintuitive because we tend to keep pressing on. Okay, so let's open it up for a quick chat, and then we'll close the session. What occurred to you from today? You can either drop it in the chat, or you can come off mute and have a conversation about it. I'm very easy either way. Let me have a quick look and make sure I'm not missing anything on the chat. Where is the chat? Hold on, I can't see it. Ah, there we go. So we've got like Manjula, thank you. Like the rapper, new acronym for me: review, assess, prioritize, act. Brilliant. Thanks, Manjula. That's great. Joe, good morning again. Hi.
Hello. Just to say, am I on? Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Just to say, brilliant, Justin. There's so many great books that you mentioned there, and you've captured the essence of them in a really practical and realistic way. So thank you so much. I know where all of them are coming from, and they're all things that I think, I should include that in my life. And thus far, need further encouragement. So I think you've really encapsulated it brilliantly. So I'm very excited. I remembered the 3 questions this morning. I'm really excited to put this into action. So thanks.
Well done. Thanks, Joe. Thank you. And that's really good feedback, Joe, because I've had that experience throughout my career where sometimes things just seem a bit, there's like too much information, there's a bit sensory overload, and getting to okay, what do I do about this can be quite difficult. And that's a big part of what I've tried to do for myself. And hopefully, because I've found some of those ways to navigate it, sharing that with you helps you to start to think for you, okay, so how can I pick up what we've now discussed and work it into my daily life? Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, Joe.
I'm still listening to the audiobook about the 5 o'clock. I'm not yet waking up at 5 o'clock, Justin, but maybe, who knows? Ask me in a year's time.
Yeah, the 5 a.m. club, and actually in the 5 a.m. club, I'm with you, Joe. I really enjoyed it. But I'm not a 5 a.m.er. It just doesn't work for my body's energy. 6 is good. 6:30, that's good for me, but I just can't do 5. It makes me feel sluggish all day. But actually, there are principles in that book outside of getting up at 5 a.m. that are really useful as well. So hopefully you're finding that too. Okay, final thing today. Can we take a quick photo, everybody? Is everyone okay to come on cameras? And we'll do another, because I'll do a quick LinkedIn post today. And I will, if you're okay, I'll tag you in it, and we'll get you on board. Oh, brilliant! Yeah,
Justin,
thank you.
If you're going to do this again tomorrow, can you send me a message before 8 o'clock to remind me that there might be a photo? I obviously haven't looked in the mirror this morning. Just trying to get the kids out by 8:30 is my number one challenge.
Let me text you in the morning, Joan. So remember, be photo ready. Be photo ready. Oh, thank you, everybody. Okay, let's go. I'm going to give you a countdown because yesterday I didn't give you a countdown, and it kind of shocked and surprised us all, me included, I have to say. So let's go with the countdown. Let's go. 3, 2, 1, and here we go. Brilliant. Gotcha. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Lovely. Thank you all so much. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I look forward to hearing your feedback and seeing you on the challenge tomorrow morning.
Thanks, Justin.
Take care. Thank you, everybody.
See you.
See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.